Hello, my name is Chris Hammond. I'm the Director of Training here with DotNetNuke Corporation. In this video, part of our Task Manager series, I'm going to show you how you can take your SQL script that we've developed in a previous video and get that into your DotNetNuke website. So we're going to show you how you can manually execute that. Now there's a couple of different approaches for doing this. We'll show you how you can execute that script within a standard SQL Server Management Studio query window. We'll execute that within the DotNetNuke host SQL page. We'll also talk about how that script will be executed during the installation process of your module. So let's go ahead and switch over to our website, and we have a standard DotNetNuke website right here that we're using as the development environment. We don't actually have the module installed on a page yet or actually set up because our module doesn't have any functionality yet. But as part of our project, we'll go ahead and open up the Task Manager project within Visual Studio. Now, I mistakenly in a previous session had opened up the window here for Task Manager without being connected to CodePlex, so it's not actually source controlled at the moment. The files are set up so they are read-only, so if I try to make any changes and then save those, it will ask me to overwrite those read-only files. So if you'd like, you can go ahead and go back into the File menu, go to Source Control, and I can go to Online, and that will then allow me to log in to my source control environment as well. And not a big deal for the environment that we're going to be using for this particular video. So within the project right now, if we go ahead and wait for Visual Studio to reload here, we have a version 1 SQL script. It's the 001.SQL data provider file. Now this is the script we created in that previous video, part 6 of our series, in which we go in and we create a Task Manager table. Now it's actually Task Manager _ task is the name of the table, though it has some tokens in front of it that also get utilized during the creation process. Now this script as is will not execute within the SQL Management Studio, the tools that Microsoft provides. And I'll go ahead and demonstrate that. If I press Control A to select all, and I right click and choose copy, and I switch over here to SQL Server Management Studio, and go into my databases node, choose my development environment, and from here click on New Query. That'll open up a query window. I can paste the contents that we copied from the SQL script, and if we were to try to click on the checkbox to parse or verify the format of the SQL script, we're going to get some errors, and the errors we get are because of these tokens that are in place. Now, within the comments section of the SQL script, it actually tells you that you can execute this script, but you need to replace the tokens. So in order to use this script within SQL Server Management Studio, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to search for database owner and replace it with DBO. We're going to have to search for object qualifier and replace that with DNN _. So I'm going to go ahead and press Control H to open the Find and Replace options, and I'm going to replace the database owner token with DBO dot. Click Replace All, and it goes and it finds the 5 occurrences. Then we're going to do the same thing for the object qualifier token, and we're going to replace that one with DNN _ because that is the object qualifier I have in place in my development environment. Go ahead and click on Replace All, finds those as well. And now if we were to click the checkbox, we get the command completed successfully. That basically means it's parsed successfully. And if we would like, we can go ahead and execute this SQL script. That has now just created a table called DNN Task Manager Task within our .NETNuke development database. Now, because we developed this script to be re-executable, we could click it again, and it would go out. It actually checks to see if the table exists first, and if it does, it drops the table, and then it creates it again. So we verified that we can run this script within SQL's Management Studio window over and over. We can also take the script and utilize it within our .NETNuke website. So if you don't have access to the query window within Management Studio, you can go into your website, log in as a host account, and within the host menu, you'll find a SQL page. If you go to the SQL page, you can take the contents that we've copied from Visual Studio again. And you can see it's got some wrapping issues here. The lines don't wrap as nicely as they do in the other window, but the scripts here should execute just fine. Now when you go ahead and paste that in, you want to make sure you choose the right SQL connection. We're using the site SQL Server connection string. And then we're going to choose the Run as Script option. We'll click on Execute, and that will go out and execute our SQL script. So it runs it just like it did over there in the query manager or the query window within Management Studio. It goes through it. .NETNuke actually replaces the tokens database owner with DBO dot and object qualifier with DNN underscore, and it executes that script. So if we switch back over here to Management Studio and we go into the structure of our database, if we go to the tables option, and just to be safe, we'll do a refresh on the tables. We should find, if we scroll down, that we have a DNN underscore task manager underscore task. Back to our project. Besides the creation script, that 001 script, we also have an uninstall SQL script. We should obviously verify that the uninstall script works as well. So I'm going to copy the contents of that script, go back to Internet Explorer, paste the contents into the window here, replacing all of the other script that was there, and click on Execute. So that should go out and uninstall or delete that particular table from the database. We can verify by going back to Management Studio, refreshing the tables section, and if we scroll down into the T's, we find that there is not a Task Manager task table anymore. Now, one final thing we should check within that uninstall script is we should be able to execute it again without it throwing any errors. So the script goes out and it looks to see if the table exists. If it does, it drops that table. If we execute it again, if the table doesn't exist, it doesn't drop the table because there's nothing to drop. It also doesn't throw any errors. Now, finally, the last thing we'll talk about here within our project. The way this particular project is set up, this 001 SQL script will execute when our module is installed. Now, that means that we would go through, we would package the module, it would be a zip file, we would then upload that zip file to a .NETNuke website. Now, because our development environment already has the module installed, that's why we went through the process of running that SQL script manually. That's what you'll find you'll oftentimes do, is run the SQL script manually in your environment. You may make changes to it, run it again. That's why we made it re-executable. At the end of the day, when you're done with the module, when you're ready to do a release, that's when you should go through a full installation testing process. You should set it up on a fresh install of .NETNuke. You should upload the zip file, make sure the SQL executes. You should uninstall the module, make sure the uninstall SQL executes, and it leaves no remnants within the database for your particular module. So in a future video, we're going to go in and we're going to show you some additional SQL scripting. We're going to add some stored procedures into our task manager module. In the meantime, I'd encourage you to check out our .NETNuke training page. You can find it under the resources tab on .NETNuke.com. There you'll find a variety of free videos, as well as information about our instructor-led training, our custom on-site and online training offerings, and our .NETNuke training subscription. Again, this is Chris Hammond with .NETNuke. Thanks for watching the video.